Morning, how are we doing? Hope you're good. Happy Monday. So, there might be some Peppa Pig on in the background, and there might be a 2-year-old on in the background, but we're going to still fight through. So, I believe that this one thing is the biggest game changer, is the thing that is the biggest influence to men being successful. It's about jumping from this gap about where we're living every day in everyday life and getting to the point where we want to be. And it's this one thing is going to bridge that gap. This one thing. And it's not one thing that you haven't heard of before. It's not something new. It's just something I think that the majority of men and women avoid. And it's the one thing that really we need in our everyday life to ensure that we are successful. And that's what I'm going to go through in today's show. So let's crack on. Welcome to the Rise to Thrive show. I'm your host, James Boardman. And if you are coming through, then please do let me know. How was your weekend? So let me know what you got up to. What's the one thing that you did? Put it in the comments over the weekend that made you smile. Was there anything over the weekend that made you smile? All right, so let's get into this one thing. So, this one thing that takes you from one side of the cliff to the other side of the cliff. So, in everyday life, right, we are you and me, we're trying to improve. That's orange juice all over the sofa. We are trying to improve ourselves all of the time. We're trying to self-master ourselves. We're trying to be better husbands and wives. We're trying to be better parents. Okay, we're trying to keep on top of our health, mentally, emotionally, and physically. We're trying to develop our careers. We're trying to build our businesses. We're trying to master our emotions. I apologise. Our sofa's soaked. We're trying to do all of these things. We're trying to self-master all of these things in our lives. But somewhere along the way, we're just not maybe showing up the way that we want to, right? Sometimes we get frustrated that we're not achieving the results that we desire. We're not reaching the goals or the standards that we want. We've not necessarily got the discipline to be consistent. We keep getting distracted. We keep getting frustrated. If that resonates with you, let me know. Just hit the blue thumb button or something. And it becomes infuriating. And what people tend to do is that when it gets to the point where they just constantly are not showing up or things are getting in their way and it's not going the way that you had planned, people tend to slip away. And because you slip away, you then slowly self-sabotage and you end up putting yourself back in a pity jail or the dungeons of not showing up. And this one thing helps you do all of that and get through all of that and self-master yourself. And that one thing is accountability. So without accountability, you're never really true to yourself. So accountability is basically being honest openly about your journey, about the things that are happening, about the things you're not doing, about the things that are distracting you, about the wins. And if you think about anything that we do as a parent, we constantly hold our kids accountable. So, for example, I always used to use this example. I can't as much anymore because he's a bit older. But my boy always used to come in from school and he would literally, in our old house, he would dump the bag down just right in the middle of our lounge / hall / house. It was so tiny. He would go upstairs. He would then take his uniform off and just throw it all on the bed. He would then just sit down and he'd be like, just going to play PlayStation, right? And if I never held him accountable, That uniform will be all scrunched up the next day. He'd probably play PlayStation to 2 o'clock in the morning. The bag would still be sitting in the middle. No homework would get done and no lunchbox would get done. So what we're doing is enforcing a standard through accountability, right? So me being the enforcer, if you like, of the accountability is a case of going up and go, right, Bailey, you've got 30 minutes, and in 30 minutes, I want you to make sure you've cleared up your bag. I want you to make sure you hung up your uniform. I want you to make sure you've made your packed lunch for the next day. I want you to make sure you're doing your homework, do it, blah, 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 blah. So basically what we end up doing is enforcing the standard. We enforce what needs to be done. We enforce the system that we've set up, okay, so that he has good structure, routine, and system. Structure, routine, and system. So in theory, what we do in our elite brotherhood is, oh, thank you. Thank you. We set up an accountability system to say, hey, Johnny Bravo, have you done what you said you were going to do this morning? Have you done what you needed to do this morning to make sure that you're showing up at the standard that you need to be showing up at? Okay, and that's that point of accountability, right? So I'm basically saying to the guys, have you done this? You need to do this in order to self-master yourself and be successful like you said you wanted to be. And I'm not setting those standards for you. You're setting them. I'm holding you accountable. So suddenly, my job is not, obviously as a parent, but as a mentor or a coach or a guide, is to go, have you done what you said you were going to do? Have you done what you said you were going to do? Have you done what you said you were going to do? And that works at different levels, right? So on my higher level coaching programs, there's more accountability. So there's more of me. On our membership, our standard one, I meet the guys twice a month. We have an accountability system where people are congratulated for showing up. So there's lots of different levels of accountability. And when you're accountable, you are less full of BS. You are less full of BS. And the less full of BS you are, the more likely you are to be successful, whatever success is in your realm, in your world, in the pursuit of the outcomes that you want to achieve. Okay, so if you've got goals, if you've got dreams, if you've got aspirations, if you've got a life that you want to live, if you've got stress you want to reduce, if you've got things going on in your life that you want to improve, then what we need to do is become accountable. We have to become accountable to the things that we said we were going to do. We have to be accountable to become the man that you need to be or the woman that you need to be. And this is really, really important in terms of this is the difference between those people that will spend the next 2 to 3 years trying to figure it out, watching a few YouTube videos. I mean, you know what to do. You probably in your head, if you've been following me, you have got some level of idea about, you know, what sort of 80%, thank you, 80% worth of knowing what you've got to do to train, knowing what you've got to eat, understanding some form or level of structure. You can go on YouTube, you can watch all of that until you're blue in the face, but if no one is holding you accountable, if you're not surrounded by like-minded people, if you don't have that community, then the transformation becomes 10 times harder. So I've put the link on this post here. If you've been following our build-up over the last couple of days, you've just seen part 1 and part 2 of how to transform your life. Here's the path of how to transform your life. And we talk about going from that old version of you, or the version that does not show up at a high level, okay, and then going through this path and using community and using education and using accountability to build the mind, to then reach the other side to become this human being that you want to become, this man or this woman that you want to be, who performs at an elite level, who moves away from average, right? Who stops the short-term mentality, short thinking. Okay, we think more about growth, we think more about future, but there's always a crossroads. There's always a crossroads. And people have their own choice, and that choice is either going to be, you're either going to go on this self-mastery journey, or you're going to continue going round and round and round. Thank you, my lovely. You're going to continue to go round and round and round in circles of this chaos, because you're trying to figure out yourself, you're trying to hold yourself accountable, and you keep lying to yourself, and you never really do what you fully said you're going to do, and it becomes more and more frustrating. And it's not just you that suffers, it's everyone else around you that suffers. So that one big thing is accountability, and it's down to you. it's a 50-50 thing, right? So if you're in my world, it's a 50-50 thing. It's a 50-50 thing. So like, I will do all of the accountability. We'll have a read through. I'll do the focus sessions, but you've got to meet me halfway. I can't do it all for you. I can't come and get you dressed, right? Otherwise you learn nothing. And then for those people that are not in that world, it's all on you to take that step. You either keep going the way you're going, or you take that plunge, you take that leap, you invest in yourself, you invest time, energy, finances. When I say invest, I don't always mean financially. I mean time and energy into you, so you achieve the outcomes that you want to achieve. You know, this is a one-ticket ride. You know, you could waste the next 2 years trying to figure it out on YouTube and lying to yourself and buying journals and never filling them out, buying diaries and never filling them out. And you might just have 2 years of empty promises, or in 2 years you could have dramatically changed your life by doing what you said you were going to do. Make sense? Cool. All right, if you haven't watched those videos, I'm about to put part 3 in a minute. Go and have a look at the link in the copy or on the write-up on this post here. I'm going to put up that, and then I'm going to talk about how to create a blueprint for the next 6 months of how you can be successful, okay, for yourself. Success, I don't mean successful in terms of financially. I think everyone instantly thinks to themselves, oh, I can be successful financially in my career, but you can be super successful being a parent, you can be super successful having balance in your life, super successful paying attention to your wife or your husband. There are lots of elements and different components to life that you can be successful in, right? But accountability is the one thing that will accelerate your progress. All right, amigos? All right, catch you all soon. Take it easy.